All right, so now that you have a good grasp on Kotlin, right, we at least know the basics that are going on here. It's time to move over and talk about how do we take these skills that we learned in Kotlin and then apply them to Android Studio. So let's go ahead and open up Android Studio now. We're first going to just create a new project in Kotlin. We're going to talk about how we can convert things with Kotlin, just all sorts of bits and bobs here. So we'll go ahead and get Android Studio opened up, and here we want to just create a new Android Studio project. So this is going to be just kind of a test fun app for this. Let's just go ahead and call this Kotlin Fun maybe. And now the big thing is come down and make sure that you have include Kotlin support checked. That's the big thing that we're trying to do here, okay? So I'm going to make sure I get this saved in the proper location. There we go, and I want that to be /Kotlin Fun. Good. With that, then go ahead and select what you want here. I'm going to go with the latest and greatest API 26, and I want an empty activity, and we'll just do the main activity there. So you'll notice this looks a whole lot like our old stomping grounds. Maybe just a little bit slightly different with the Kotlin, but I'm going to walk you through all of that here in just a second. So we'll wait for this to come through. All right, you can do it, Android Studio. We believe in you. That's something I really like about IntelliJ. It's a little bit more thinned out, more specific on what it's focused on, and it just goes a little bit quicker, I think. So here you can see a lot of things look pretty similar, right? Like when we have this onCreate function, the same things are coming through, but it's going to be just a little bit different here whenever we're going to work with code. So let's go ahead and go to our layout file here, and let's walk through the process of how do we bring something from here into our code. I think you'll find that to be kind of interesting. So we'll give this a moment to load up there, and here we go. We've got a text view. So let's go ahead and make some changes to this text view. So I'm going to give this the name of text view, just like that. Then we'll come back to our main activity, and we're going to say, you know what? We want to create a new text view. And before, we had always done something like say text view and then give it the name text view. But in this case, we would want to create a variable. So we would say something like var text view, and we're going to say this is going to be equal to, and then we'll do our find view by ID, and we are looking for a text view. So that's what we should anticipate coming back to us. And we'll still do our classic r.id. And this is where we would find our text view. Excellent. And boom, all of a sudden we have a text view, right? Just like we had before. And let's say we want to set something inside of this, right? Text view dot set text, and we can do that and just put in a string like hello fam. We'll do something a little different than hello world, so we can just prove that this is working. And I'm so used to doing these semicolons. Look, I had put a semicolon there when it didn't even need to be. So let's go ahead and just test this out. I know this is a simple app, but let's just confirm and see if this is working. So we'll go ahead and put this on one of our devices here. So our app finally finished building here, and look at that. It's a work of art. Hello, fam. Again, very, very simple app here, but I want you to just to kind of get used to this whole feeling of looking at something in Kotlin. And so to sort of get used to that, I'm going to give you a little challenge here. I want you to make a counter app. So this is sort of similar to something that we're going to build later when we're going to be talking about Android Wear. But the basic idea is I want you to make an app where you can add a count button that's going to add +1 to a counter and a reset button. So maybe you're counting the number of people that come into your museum, or you're counting the number of birds that fly by your window. I don't know what it is, but you want to have a text view in the middle of the screen a button that's going to add things, and then a button that will reset the counter. Okay, so that's my challenge for you. Try and do that all in Kotlin. Good luck. Okay, so hopefully that went well for you. Let's go ahead and work on the visual side of things first. Again, this shouldn't be too challenging for you. At least, Android-wise, we know how to do all this stuff. It's just making sure we can get it done in Kotlin. So I'm going to put a button a little bit below the text view here. I'm going to go ahead and connect it to that. And I'm going to change its name to say +1. Okay, so that's what we're going to use to count up. We'll also bring a button above our hello world here. Connect it down to that text view. And I'll make it 31 just like the other one so that we have some consistency. And this is going to be our reset button. Okay. So the on click for the reset button here is going to be reset. And the on click for the +1 is going to be +1. Yeah, I know. Who would have guessed these crazy function names? But with that in place, we're going to go ahead and create our new function. So we're going to say function, and we're going to call this reset. We'll go ahead and do our parentheses, and we need to take in something called a view with capital view here. We'll go ahead and hit enter on that for the import, and then we'll go ahead and do our curly brackets. So with this now in place, that's the reset. We also need to make a function for when we get the +1. So we'll do +1. Again, we're going to take in the view there, go do our curly brackets. And I like them with spacing. You can do them without, kind of up to you. The real goal of this app is to be able to count something, and we've got to keep track of that count somewhere. So I'm going to create a new variable as a property up at the top, which I'm going to call count, and we're initially just going to set that equal to 0. Then when someone wants to reset, we'll take this count and again set that equal to 0, but then we want to update the text view. So we'll take our text view and say set text, and inside of here we're going to take our count, and this is so cool with Kotlin. Look at this. We do count.toString. And it's that easy. All of a sudden, now we can display the count inside of the text view. And what happens inside of the +1? Well, let's say we want to do count ++. Then we want to update the text view again. We can just copy, paste that right inside. So let's go ahead and give this a roll. I guess one thing that we should change here is we should have the starting text for hello world to be 0. We'll go ahead and fix that real quick. And with that in place, let's go ahead and run this. Well, if it gives us a chance to, we might just have to look like how it is. As soon as we hit reset, it's going to go back to 0. So just know the changes that we made will work. And I'm going to show you a thing in a second here. Oh, and we forgot to center our button, so that looks really tacky. But we hit reset. Look, that goes to 0. But now I can hit this button as many times as I want, and I can reset that. Goes back to 0. So functional app. Pretty cool, right? Style-wise, few things that I do want to change. This button, I want to make sure that this is centered, so I'm going to right-click, center horizontally. Again, here I'm going to right-click, center horizontally. And the next thing is I really want to beef up the size of this text view. And so I'm going to go inside of the detailed attributes, and let's scroll down to our friend here. And for text size, let's go ahead and beef this up to something like 40. Yeah, maybe even 60. Let's go a little bit crazy here, huh? So that looks good to me. Now, something that I want to show you here that will hopefully blow your mind and just make Kotlin that much cooler is we've been setting the text what I consider to be quote unquote the old school way. It's kind of the retro way, whereas count here, this is sort of showing the new way that we can do things in Kotlin. So instead of saying here set text to hello fam, we can do text view.text and simply just access its text attribute and say this is equal to hello fam or something like that, right? Like this is all it takes. So again, here when we're setting the text view to the count, we can just say text view.text is equal to count.toString. It's that simple. There's no need to keep putting things in parentheses like I don't know about you, but I think this is so much more readable than this. I mean, even in Kotlin, this makes it even more easy to check out and see, but it's just one step further, and I just think, wow, this is, so much cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, paste that there. We actually don't want this to say hello fam when we start. Let's have that be 0, and we'll go ahead and run this one more time just to prove that we can make things work in this new way. So we'll go ahead and run this. Wait for our app to pop up here, and look at this. So we can add up these numbers, hit the reset button, goes back to 0. We are in a great place. So hopefully you're starting to see, not only was it fun learning about the principles of Kotlin, but we can do some awesome stuff with our Android programming, and I still got more to show you.